Thank you for your interest in Cyber Church of Christ. Normally we study in topics, but we'll study any topic at any time with you. Just contact us. You'll see at the bottom of this lesson our email address. But we'd love to have you like and join our YouTube channel. This is where we post our lessons. Now today's topic, we're going to look at something called bitterness. Now bitterness is also basically the topic is just like um, wrath. You can see here I have wrath. Wrath is them. So if you look at what's bitter or what's wrath, anger, those all kind of go together. But today we're going to look at just the topic bitterness to see what the Bible says about it. What I have here to keep in mind is anger that remains until remedied, becoming a grudge. So we're going to look at that today. You're angry, is that a sin? Leaving the anger inside, is that a sin? And this grudge is sin. We'll look at that. So 62 of the 74 Bible verses that have some mode of bitter in it, like bitter, it tasted bitter, or even when they handed the vinegar of stuffed gall to Jesus, it tasted bitter. So we're looking at the spiritual condition bitter, not the physical something tastes bitter. This was going to be spiritual. So 62 of the 74 verses of bitter are in the Old Testament. So we'll look at some of these from the New Testament today. But you'll see that the bitterness and all that is going to appear a lot more the in the Old Testament than in the New Testament. Okay, so let's get rid of this. Look at Ephesians 4:31. Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice. So that's Ephesians 4:31. We'll look at 4:32 also. But look at this bitterness. It also says wrath, anger, and clamor. Because why? Because they're all similar topics. So I have some bitterness because, the guy done me wrong and I don't trust him. Okay, well, that's a little different than being bitter. It just means you don't trust the guy. Well, I know, but when he comes around, I get real angry and I remember what all he did. Okay, well, now you're working on bitterness. And you're going to do what now? Well, I'm going to store it so you don't see it until it comes out. Okay, we'll look at that today. All right, let's look at get rid of the other highlight here. Look at Ephesians 4:32. And be ye kind one to another, tenderhearted, forgiving one another, even as God for Christ's sake had forgiven you. Okay, well, the word bitterness is not in there. No, but it's following that verse because you notice it was a colon at the end of verse 31. Verse 32, he's saying, hey, this bitterness that you got against that guy, yeah, well, be kind to one another. I know, but you're talking about being kind to like us in the kingdom. No, we're not talking about those in the kingdom. Excuse me. We're not talking about those in the kingdom. We're talking about one another. Huh? This says one to another. Gotcha. So no matter, so because the guy that done me wrong, he doesn't even believe in God. So, well, do I have to be kind to him? Well, according to this, yeah. Are you going to keep this bitterness inside of you? Because you know what good comes from bitterness? Nothing. Yeah, immediately take off the thoughts of above and the judgment day and doing God's will and all. No, actually, I'm bitter because such and such happened. Okay, well, understand that. So be ye kind one to another, no matter who the another is, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as God, for Christ's sake, had forgiven you. So forgiving is tied into bitterness. Well, yeah, you were going to store the bitterness inside, right, in your spirit, and then it was just going to pop out occasionally. Yeah, okay, well, then we just proved you wasn't forgiven. If it was forgiven, you wouldn't be storing this bitterness. So there's you a fix right there for the bitterness is forgiving. Okay. Now, let's look at this next section. We are commanded and warned not to begin or have bitterness. Okay, so why don't you just nip it in the bud before it even begins to be bitter? Is there a way to do that? Yes, that's in the Bible also. So we're commanded and warned, we're going to be looking at Hebrews 12, not to begin to have bitterness. All right, so let's look at Hebrews 12. We're going to be looking at 14 and 15. Hebrews 12, 14. Follow peace with all men. Okay, well, that was kind of this one to another thing you had up here. Yeah, all men. I know, but I can do a lot better peace with just those that are in the kingdom that are like-minded. Yeah, I can get a lot of peace. I have peace within me for that. Yeah, that's why the verse says all men. Yeah, you're not selecting out of you. So you have bitterness towards everybody? No, just under a couple of guys when, yeah, exactly. So all is in there. Follow peace with all men and holiness. It's a whole separate topic, without which no man shall see the Lord. So that's one thing you'll notice too when you're studying with us is we look at pronouns. So this pronoun is an interrogative pronoun. So you're saying men is the which here? No, actually peace. This peace is actually the noun. So we're going to have peace with all men, without which, so without peace, no man shall see the Lord. So see, that's how we do it. We look at punctuations and pronouns. They're big in the learning Bible. So right now I'll say, hey, who is this pronoun which? This interrogative pronoun? Which noun does that go with? Well, I'd look at men, I'd look in here and see Lord. Okay, so it's peace. So you're going to learn a lot better and know a lot more Bible when you learn the pronunciation, the punctuation and the pronouns. Those are big. And you can see one right here. All right, so let's look at the next verse 15. Hebrews 12:15. Looking diligently, lest any man fail of the grace of God, lest any root of bitterness springing up trouble you, and thereby many be defiled. Okay, time out. Let's look at this. Hebrews 12:15. Looking, okay, that's present tense. Diligently is the effort. So this lest is what now? This lest means what? Usually still learning my software here. This lest means unless. And you're going to find that in lots of verses. So that's a formal English for unless. So looking diligently, and then if you wanted to say it today's vernacular, unless any man fail of the grace of God, unless any root of bitterness springing up. Okay, so you have unless. What do you mean by root? What is this root of bitterness? Huh? Root of bitterness. Well, that means you got it stored. You know what? Things that the root, I really don't see the root. Like even the trees and plants, the root's underground and it furnishes the nourishment. It actually has the life in it. And I only see the result. I see like the tree trunk and the limbs and the fruit and stuff. And I don't see the root. Okay, well, that's where bitterness resides. Yeah, you don't see it openly like that. No, it's rooted down and it's run down in there buried. You don't see it. And then all of a sudden, what? Well, something come up, and you know what's going to happen? We're going to have this springing up. Huh? Yeah, just like when I planted the seed for the tree, and then I didn't even see the root, but I saw where a sprout came up and then started nourishing the thing and got a tree. Yeah, so it sprang up from what? From the root. So he's saying, hey, let me tell you about bitterness here. It has a root to it, and you can't even see it. Your fellow man doesn't see it. But you know what it'll do? It'll spring up. Yeah. Something happened, someone said something, you remembered something, and all of a sudden, bam, here's this bitterness comes springing up. And you know what this springing up does to me? It troubles me. Oh, so you're going to, let's see, you're going to fail from the grace of God? I thought the grace of God, that's why we're even alive, is grace of God. Okay, well, I know, but God has commandments, and then you know what you decide to do? You decided to do some of the commandments, but you got this bitter thing that you're holding back on. Yeah, he said, fellow man doesn't see it because why? Because it's in the root. And then situation happened, a person happened, someone said something. You know what that does? That troubles me. And guess what had happened? Bitterness sprang up. That's what happened. Okay. And thereby, and that's what he's going to tell you here now, the result of that is that many be defiled. Okay. What exactly is defiled, he said. Defiled, I have it here as a definition. And this G number here, that's if you have a Strong's Concordance, all of the Greek words are numbered. And this defiled has a Greek word to it. All right, defiled means what? To pollute, to be corrupted, to stain, to become spiritually or ceremoniously unclean. Okay, so let me guess now. So I was Christian guy, following all of the commandments, doing things well and all. I got this little bitter thing though hid, so it's hid pretty good. It's down in the root. And then what? No. Well, when this bitterness comes, this thing happened and now it sprung up. Okay, well, now you're spiritually unclean. So, you know what you need to do? You need to get rid of that root. What happens if you pull the root up in a plant? I don't have a plant anymore. Okay, well, you cut the top of it off and then it grew another plant. Well, yeah, because the root's still there. Well, that's how it's going to work in the spiritual world. Yeah, you can take off the symptoms of bitterness, yeah, but you're going to store that in the root and let it spring up? No, it has to be removed from the root, just like you would a plant or, normally if I talk to a gardener or something, what are they pulling up by the root? Well, usually weeds, stuff to get in the way of, they're growing tomatoes or something. So they want to pull up something by the root. Why? Because they don't want it to sprout. Okay, well, guess what? If you don't pull it up by the root, that bitterness stays there. Yeah, and it's just waiting for what? I don't know, wait for something to happen and it's going to spring up. That's what's going to happen. All right, now let's look at the some more scriptures here. In James 3:14 and 15. Now, Satan uses the world as the source of bitterness. Huh? Yeah, Satan goes, okay, well, let's see. You got this bitterness. You know what Satan wants to do with this bitter thing you got stored there in the root? Wants it to spring out. Yeah, so let's see what I got to do here. What I'm going to do is come up with some device, and then this device will hook into your bitterness, and your bitterness will spring out, and then you're going to fall from the grace of God, and then you won't be in good stead. Okay, so that's what you do. Well, yeah, he's Satan. That's what he does. So you're going to use the world to reveal this bitterness that I've got carefully stored here in the root. Yeah. And then what I'll do is I'll have, and then just say, well, test your faith, see what happens. All right, let's look at James 3:14 and 15. But if ye have bitter envying and strife in your hearts, glory not and lie not against the truth. Okay, but let me look at that again. But if ye have bitter envying, oh yeah, because the guy, you know what? He actually insults God, and I just saw him with a new Cadillac. And I'm a guy who loves God. I'm the one that deserved the Cadillac. Okay, so you got the envying thing going on. Okay, well, it sounds like you're kind of bitter. You saw the guy pull up in the new Cadillac, and what is this? What happened? Well, I have bitterness that's, kind of stored and hid in the root there. And then I saw a situation I didn't like. It kicked into my envy. Usually it's pride of life, lust of the eye, lust of the flesh, something like that. That's what's going to happen to make the bitter come out. All right, so envying, that's ongoing. Yeah, it has an ing. And strife, and okay, that's where it's stored, in your heart. Yeah. Okay, well, the root I had of my vegetable I was growing was in the ground of the earth, and that's where it was stored. Yeah, where is this envying stored in me spiritually? Oh, in your heart. Yeah, in your soul. Yeah, that's where you got it stored at. And you know what? There's envy in there and there's some strife in there. So you're actually going against the truth. So no, you have nothing to glory about. What's wrong with God blessing the guy with the Cadillac? What do you have against that? Or you're not envious, are you? Yeah, exactly. So you need to rethink this Christian deal because we're not into that. We're into spiritually being fed. James 3:15 to follow up. This wisdom of what? Well, this envying and strife in your heart. This wisdom descendeth not from above, but is earthly, sensual, devilish. All right, so now you told me the source of this. So I'm bitter because of the Bible. Wrong. It doesn't come from above. So any bitterness I have, yeah, it's from here. You didn't get bitterness from our Father, or from the Word, or from the Bible. It doesn't descend from there. Your wisdom should offset. So you know what? I got to get rid of this bitter deal for it. And it's, you know what's going to happen? It's going to spring up. Better get rid of it. This wisdom descended not from above, but is earthly, sensual, devilish. Okay, so Satan's the source. Well, he's the source of the bitter. Guess who stored it? Yeah, you're the guy that stored it. Where'd you put it? In the root there. I put it to where, it's kind of hid from my fellow man there and just ready to spring up as soon as it gets the proper amount of nourishment on it. Someone watered it and bam, there comes my bitterness. Okay, and you're saying what now? I'm saying that's devilish. James 3:15. All that you just mentioned, that ain't from above. No, that's earthly. All right, so let's finish our saying here. We're going to look at Ephesians 4:26 and then back to James. We must not allow anger, which is not a sin. But anger is not a sin? I'll have to see that. Anger, not a sin, to become bitterness and then a grudge. Okay, so first of all, I got angry about something. Yeah, and then what? Well, now I'm going to act on it. That's what I'm going to do. You know what? I got so angry I became bitter. And that was temporary. Other than I stored this bitterness, I got it stored there. Come on, you're holding a grudge? Well, no, I'm not holding a grudge. I just have this bitterness that stays there. Okay, well, that's a grudge. You know what a grudge is? It means you're holding bitterness. Oh, yeah, you're just going to wait until the right situation. You know who's going to make this grudge come out? Satan had already said it comes from the earth. It's earthly. Yeah. So, and who wants to do that? Satan. That's what he does for a living. Well, let's look at Ephesians 4:26. Be ye angry and sin not. Okay, well, that's where you got that anger is not a sin. Okay, so I can be angry. Someone insulted our Father in the Bible, and I got angry. Okay, did you sin? Well, no, I didn't sin. I just didn't like what they said about the Bible. Okay, well, be angry. Just don't sin. We're looking at, getting angry is going to be a human deal because your spirit got heard something it didn't like. Now, what are you going to do about it? That's where the sin comes up. So are you going to sin not? Is that what that says? Yeah, and then you got a colon there. Yeah. Sin not, let not the sun go down upon your wrath. So that's where I'm saying the wrath and anger, they're all connected to what? To this kind of wisdom that's called bitterness. It has a deal about anger in it, and it has wrath in it. And you know what? I'd like to put revenge in there with it also. And also, I want the karma, this karma thing. I want karma to catch up with him. Uh-huh. So you're just storing all this until the thing comes out, and then what, you're going to say, I told you so or something? Yeah. Okay. Well, Satan loves that. That you're thinking, instead of thinking on things above, you're having all this wrath and anger and all. Oh, well, yeah, but I'm just storing it. Oh, okay. Well, the Bible mentions bitterness as something you store. That's today's sermon, is bitterness. And it's not even visible. It's not, all it is I see the symptom. I got to store it in the root. You don't see the tree until the root is taking root, right? Yeah, that's what that means. All right, we're going to finish with James 5:9. James 5:9, grudge. There's the grudge thing I was mentioning. Grudge not one against another, brethren. Okay, well, this brethren means us that are in the kingdom. We've had that a few sermons back, to where people that are in the kingdom that have called on the name of the Lord, they become brethren to Jesus. Yeah. And so you're speaking to them, yeah, which is us. And you're doing what now? Grudge not one against another, brethren, lest ye be condemned. Okay, well, why am I being condemned? The other guy, the other guy's in the wrong. He insulted the Bible. He got him a new Cadillac. He doesn't deserve any of that. Okay, so are you holding some kind of grudge? Yeah. You know what? Your own judgment could be in jeopardy here. Well, the other guy's the bad guy. Uh-huh. And then what did you do? Well, I stored a grudge, because he didn't deserve all that. Exactly. Well, that ain't Christian. He just said here, grudge not. That's a commandment, right? You can't hold a grudge. How are you going to be a good Christian and have love and forgiveness and all? Well, you got this bitterness stored. Yeah, I got a grudge against that. One against one another, brethren, lest, there's that unless. We had less on several verses today. Unless ye be condemned, behold, the judge standeth before the door. What does that mean? That means you got to keep your judgment in mind. Here you are, we're wanting you to look about the judgment. You're going to have a judgment day. You're wanting to be saved in the end. And what do we got? We got bitterness stored there in your gut, there in your spirit. Huh? Are you thinking about the judge standing at the door? You could end up being condemned on this deal. What? Yeah, it says right here. You may actually not even get in the kingdom of heaven now. Because why? Because of this grudge. You got this grudge thing going. So anyway, let's get rid of that. And also we got, all of these commandments and verses and all apply to the guy in the mirror. Yeah, so just because I'm saying it ain't going on the study, guess what? I'm this brethren guy. So it certainly applies to me. Okay, anyway, I hope you got something out of today's lesson better. And if you got bitterness, let's just get rid of it. You're going to get rid of it by prayer. So I don't have that in today's lesson. By prayer and turning your life around. It's called turn and do. So now I got angry and sinned not. I got angry, but I didn't store any bitterness. So that's what we learned here on the bottom here. We're the Cyber Church of Christ. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love even more to have you join us. And we're at cybercochrist@gmail.com. Ask for any questions or anything you have. We have one-on-one Bible studies or as a group. And just pick your day and time. We'll be there for you. We love you. We hope you have a great day and a great week. Thank you for watching this video, and we hope you watch more from the Cyber Church of Christ.